Australian dollar smashed as Chinese port bans coal exports following Huawei 5G network ban daily. By an end. Published 059 GMT, February 22, 2019. Updated 0839 GMT, February 22, 2019. Australian could fall into a recession for the first time in 28 years if stops buying Australian coal, a leading economist fears. A plunge in Sydney and house prices is already threatening economic growth, and now the communist Asian superpower is threatening to stop spending $22 billion a year on Australian coal. China, which also spends $10 billion a year sending international students to Australia, has hinted at a trade war in retaliation for Huawei being banned from installing the next generation 5G mobile phone network and the national broadband network, over spying fears. Scroll down for video. Australian could fall into a recession if China stops buying Australian coal. Gladstone Port pictured threatening $22 billion worth of exports. It has expressed its displeasure by banning Australia coal from entering the Dalian port in northern China, with the news continuing to send shockwaves through financial markets on Friday. China is Australia's biggest trading partner and a major buyer of coal from Queensland's Galilee Basin and the New South Wales Hunter Valley. It bought a third of Australia's $66.4 billion coal exports in 2018, with a Chinese boycott of Australian coal a $22 billion threat to the economy. The Australian dollar lost a percentage point on Friday, dropping down to 70.86 US cents, after revealed China's northern port of Dalian had banned imports of Australian coal. China, which also spends $10 billion a year sending international students to Australia, has hinted a trade war in retaliation at Huawei being banned from installing the 5G mobile network. Along with the ban, the customs at Dalian will cap overall imports for 2019 through its harbors at 12 million tons, an official at Dalian Port Group told Reuters on Thursday. The indefinite ban on imports from Australia, effective since the start of February, comes as major ports elsewhere in China prolong clearing times for Australian coal to at least 40 days. AMP Capital chief economist Shane Oliver said a Chinese ban on Australian coal could have devastating consequences if house prices continued to plunge in Sydney and Melbourne and there was an international financial calamity. If there's a double whammy shock, suppose you have a housing slump and then a little way into that you get a slump in the global economy, or China hits our export earnings, then it would tip over into recession, he told Daily Mail Australia on Friday. A plunge in Sydney pictured in Melbourne house prices is already threatening economic growth. Dr. Oliver described China's trade relationship with Australia as critically important. Sydney, down 10.9% to $902,786. Melbourne, down 10.6% to $740,425. Brisbane, up 0.1% to $540,750. Adelaide, up 0.9% to $464,584. Perth, down 5.3% to $465,120. Hobart, up 7% to $494,810. Darwin, up 2.3% to $502,023. Canberra, up 4.3% to $668,469. Source: CoreLogic detached median house prices in year to January 31. If anything goes wrong with it, then that's a major problem for Australia, he said, adding a Chinese ban on exports would wipe 0.7 percentage points off Australia's gross domestic product. Australia is already suffering from its worst housing downturn on record, with Sydney's median house price plummeting by 13.7% since peaking in July 2017. Equivalent apartment values have already fallen by 9.2%. Billionaire property developer Harry Treguboff has issued a warning about the property sector being too reliant on Chinese buyers. Australia's second richest man, worth an estimated $12.8 billion, who founded the Meriton Apartments Group in 1963, said developers needed to stop relying on Chinese off-the-plan buyers to prop up its residential construction projects. Billionaire property developer Harry Treguboff pictured has issued a warning about the property sector being too reliant on Chinese buyers. "We depend too much on Chinese purchasers," Mr. Treguboff told Sydney real estate agents last week, in a letter seen by the Daily Telegraph. "Foreigners must only be an additional bonus. I don't want us to also depend on high-priced, foreign lenders to provide the finance instead of our banks. We must stand on our own 2 feet. Australia relied on coal exports to emerge from the global financial crisis a decade ago. Coal exports to China have continued to underpin Australia's prosperity." Australia's second richest man, who founded the Meriton Apartments Group, said developers needed to stop relying on Chinese off-the-plan buyers. Waterloo project in Sydney pictured. Prime Minister Scott Morrison urged Australians to be calm, following the blockade of Australian coal in China. "People should be careful about leaping to conclusions," he told reporters in Auckland, at a joint media conference with his New Zealand counterpart Jacinda Ardern, adding Australia work constructively with our partners in China. The Dalian official declined to be named due to the sensitivity of the matter. Neither Dalian Customs nor the General Administration of Customs had responded to a request for comment from Reuters. In December, coal was Australia's biggest export, with $5.6 billion worth of the commodity sent overseas. The goods made up 19% of the value of all goods shipped out of Australia. China is also Australia's biggest two-way trading partner, and accounted for 24% of total trade. Indiana 2017 as part of a $183 billion a year trade relationship. In 2017, Australia's education exports added up to $38 billion, with demand from Chinese international students worth 32.5% of that. Trade Minister Simon Birmingham was hopeful China would continue to honour a free trade agreement with Australia, following the report of the coal blockade. In December, coal was Australia's biggest export, with $5.6 billion worth of the commodity sent overseas. "I am aware of unconfirmed and unsourced media reports and have asked our ambassador in Beijing to urgently clarify their veracity," he said in a statement on Friday. Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Philip Lowe was not expecting the Australian economy to be derailed as China blocked 2 months' worth of coal exports. "It's entirely possible that if it cannot enter China, it can go to other markets. Well, find another market, perhaps at a lower price," he told a parliamentary hearing in Sydney on Friday. "If that's all we're talking about, the blocking of a couple of months of coal exports, then that's not going to derail the Australian economy." The Reserve Bank is already worried about the housing downturn, and this week revealed board members had discussed the effect it could have on consumption. AMP Capital and now Westpac are expecting 2 interest rate cuts in 2019, which would take the cash rate from an already record low of 1.5% to 1%. Australia has not suffered a recession since the June quarter of 1991. The comments below have not been moderated. By posting your comment you agree to our. Do you want to automatically post your Mail Online comments to your Facebook timeline? Your comment will be posted to Mail Online as usual. Do you want to automatically post your mail online comments to your Facebook timeline? Your comment will be posted to Mail Online as usual. We will automatically post your comment and a link to the news story to your Facebook timeline.
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.